Hello and welcome once again to our kitchen table. I am sitting here with my wife, your therapist, and today we are talking about the 5 love languages, but not the 5 love languages that you're thinking of. We're talking about a well-researched, peer-reviewed Twitter thread where somebody mentioned the 5 love languages of neurodivergent folks. And it's interesting enough that Ashlyn brought it to my attention and said, hey, we should talk about this in a quick episode. So, welcome. My name is Price, and I married your therapist.
Hi, I'm Ash, and I'm your therapist. Please keep in mind that even though this is a podcast about therapy and mental health, that it's not the same thing as or replacement for therapy.
A few quick announcements, a few quick things. I just got off of a meeting for work just a few minutes ago. Like, we're fresh off this meeting where I met with the senior VP. That sounds super, like I'm bragging. I'm not. It was just like a high-level meeting, and everybody was like bowing before the... I just find these meetings super structured and very strange.
Right.
And my boss definitely said that we've been brainstorming, but she didn't say that we've been brainstorming. She said we've been rock, paper, and scissoring.
Okay.
Boss, if you're listening to this, which I really dearly hope you're not, don't ever say that again. I almost lost it on the call. I had to go on mute for a second. Yeah, we've been out here rock, paper, and scissoring.
I have never heard someone say that before.
I have never scissored in my life, so.
Well, okay then.
The other announcement is we're ahead of schedule with these podcasts. Like, we record in advance, which is great because it means that we're super on top of things, and it makes me feel good. I know it makes you feel good.
Yeah.
So this is going to be outdated by the time anybody hears it, but we just had a video on TikTok kind of blow up. Got over 1 million views.
Yeah.
What the fuck? I didn't
amazing.
even know there were that many people on TikTok.
I didn't know there were that many people, period. So.
It's a little overwhelming. I was happy with the little steady, consistent, but very small growth we were doing as a podcast. Like, that felt good. And then now we've kind of blown up for us, right? It's kind of gone wild.
The most exciting part of that for us has been that it means that there are a lot more people here listening to the podcast. And if you're new, we're really, really excited to have you. And if you've been around for a while now, we're also really, really excited to have you. It's just great. This is what we like. When we kind of set out to do this, it was really important to me to get to do something that was like long form content, because that's the way that like my brain works, is kind of in 50-minute to an hour-long sessions. Right. And I love getting to go really into depth about things. So this is so exciting to have more people here and listening. Yeah,
it's exciting. It's a privilege.
Yeah.
And it's also like, hey, we're just two fucking people just recording conversations we were having anyways.
We're just people.
So welcome, enjoy.
Yeah.
Let's dive into it. I think the goal today is to have a shorter episode.
Yes. Which I'm great at. So Price is going to keep us on track.
Brevity is the name of the game today.
Okay, let's do it.
Talk to me. Let's just do a quick overview for anybody who doesn't know the 5 love languages.
Yes.
Taste, touch, smell, hear, see, right?
Yeah, that's that.
For example, you're looking pretty hot today.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, you're looking good. These videos aren't going on TikTok. You look too good. I'm not.
Oh, okay.
I'm not comfortable with it.
Yikes.
I'm kidding.
Okay. Yeah, so that's the love languages, and I think that's it for today. Brevity.
Yeah, obscene power and control in the guise of a compliment handed by your boy Price.
Don't we?
Yeah.
Okay, so the 5 love languages are something that an awful lot of people have heard about because Gary Chapman, he invented this, and he has written lots of books that have sold millions of copies about the 5 love languages. Now, there's a lot of controversy around that. And a couple of issues. So one is that Gary's a pastor and not a therapist, and that the love languages aren't researched in any way. And the research that's been done...
He probably prayed about it a lot, though.
Yeah. So the research that's been done since then has really not provided any evidence that love languages exist or that these are them.
You mean to tell me that a pastor is out here just writing books based on whatever he thinks is correct and not based on any arbitrary research at all?
It's shocking. So this is just based off of like his personal experience providing counseling as a pastor, not as somebody who's a licensed professional. So
Wait. You mean to tell me that pastors that provide counseling aren't licensed to provide that counseling? Is that what you're telling me right now?
I think that there is some sort of training in pastoral counseling.
I'm actually very familiar with that process, and it is not the same thing you went through to become a therapist.
It is not the same thing. And I've been through pastoral counseling myself, and it is not the same thing. So that's an issue. One is that it's not researched. It's not based on any sort of evidence. It's also not... there's a lot of sexism in the book. There's the assumption that like men... Oh, so let's go over what they are.
Yeah.
So the 5 love languages are supposed to be words of affirmation, acts of service, touch, gift giving, and quality time. You look like you want to say something.
My favorite thing is like, yeah, my girlfriend's love languages are gift giving and touch. So for the last 5 years, for her birthday, she's gotten a hug.
Nailed it.
Hey, babe, bring it in. Yeah, this year I think I'll put a little bow on my head. I'm your gift.
That covers gift giving.
Yeah, and now get in here for a hug. It's what she wants, Ashley.
Well, it is an issue kind of for that reason that a lot of people have used this as kind of the go-to to like understand or fix their relationship.
Right.
And these are all just normal parts of a healthy relationship. These are all things that all humans need in some sort of way.
And the existence of the list suggests that if you are somebody who has a love language of touch and gift giving, that you don't appreciate the other things. Mm-hmm. When acts of service and whatever the other ones are, I've already forgotten. It's very rare for you to be like, I don't like those at all. Don't ever do an act of service for me.
Yeah.
But the list kind of suggests that that's how people operate, and that's not really true.
Yeah, there might be some things on the list that are really not somebody's cup of tea, and that's totally fair and valid. Yeah. But to some extent, most humans need most of those things. And also they're foundational, they're fundamental. They're not do these things and that makes up a whole happy, healthy relationship. It's do these things alongside really getting to know each other.
This is the foundation you build a relationship on,
exactly.
Are all of these things in some variation.
So there's a lot of sexism in the book. The book leaves out...
Do you mean to tell me that a male pastor's got a book that's got some sexism sprinkled in it?
I know. Once again, shocking.
What's one of the sexist things that he kind of alludes to?
So 2 different examples. One is that when he talks about gift giving, he really kind of implies that women are really materialistic and really are the ones who need to be receiving monetary value sorts of gifts.
I've literally never seen you buy anything.
I've literally never bought anything. Yeah, and that's not fair. That's based on the like women love shopping sort of thing. And
because that's what we allow them to do, and that's all they're allowed to do is go shopping.
Right. That's where they're allowed to exist, is where we're making money off of them. And so, and the other thing that's in there that's sexist, I mean, there are plenty of things, but another big example of that is when it's talking about physical touch, I believe that he says like this can include sex for men, but women's sexuality is completely left out because of course women are not sexual beings. They just exist for male pleasure.
Well, Gary, his name's Gary, right? Gary Bear, my guy. That's such a bad look. When you come out here asserting that women aren't fucking insane for sex. You know, you're
some women.
Yeah, I apologize. Some
that they
women
can't be.
Yeah, some women are actual fucking monsters when it comes to sex, and it's a wonderful world to live in for those of us who get to live in it. You know, and Gary, you come off as like, no woman's ever wanted to have sex with a man before because no woman's ever wanted to have sex with me. Like, okay, Gary.
Yeah, it really dives into like lack of considering, you know, mutual pleasure and that sort of thing. So there are a lot of issues with the list. It of course leaves out anybody in the LGBTQ plus community. It's really, you know, really focused on just like white, cis, straight people. So it's not great. And a lot of clinicians either have never used it or are now kind of working it out of their practice because of these issues with it. There are two somewhat beneficial things that it does. One is anytime we're getting to apply names to something, I think, we're creating a shared language together. And I think that that's really helpful in relationships, is that, like we've talked about in other episodes, you kind of come into a relationship speaking separate languages from the places you grew up in, from the family you grew up in.
Right.
And getting to have something like this means that you have the same terms to call these things. Now, that doesn't matter at all if you're not then defining what those things mean to you, because touch to you that's affectionate and makes you feel connected might be different for you than it is for me. Same with acts of service and, you know, all these others.
One of the best things about this is that it gets people thinking about these things, right? Like just the conversation is beneficial.
Yeah, it's an opportunity to have that conversation,
Yeah.
to define these terms and to say, here's stuff that works for me, what works for you.
Right.
And that's the other part of this that's beneficial, is recognizing that your significant other is not you, that they're a whole separate person with their own separate ways of wanting to interact and receive love and affection.
So as a neurodivergent couple, today we're going to sit down and have that conversation about the 5 love languages of neurodiverse people.
Yeah.
Kind of based off of this trope, right?
Right.
And it can be beneficial to talk through. It's not scientific. And it's not based on research, but it is fun.
So what we thought would be good today, there was this tweet that went around that people really connected with, that especially a lot of neurodivergent people connected with, is things that they really love and value. We're not going to talk about these things as love languages because, again, love languages aren't scientific and this list wasn't scientific. But the things in here are really good terms and concepts to know about in general, and I think really helpful for understanding more about the neurodivergent community.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, you want to hear the tweet?
Read me the tweet.
All right. So,
I just want everyone to know she just pulled out I'm not even joking, she just pulled out a notebook.
Yeah.
And this tweet has been handwritten in the notebook.
Okay. You have my laptop. We're using my iPad. We're using my phone. I'm really limited on my options here. I could have written it on the cat.
Just read the damn tweet.
Okay. The 5 neurodivergent love languages: info dumping, parallel play, support swapping, please crush my soul back into my body, and I found this cool rock/button/leaf, etc., and I thought you would like it.
That sounds like a bizarre categorization in Jeopardy, like the 5 categories across the board, you know.
I would love that for a Jeopardy game.
you would crush. You would
crush
sweep it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Those are all my specialties.
Tell me what the first one is again.
Okay, so again, we're not talking about this as like these are the 5 love languages or that the love languages are helpful, but I think that these are helpful terms to know. So the first one is info dumping. Do you know what that is?
Info dumping. I'm guessing info dumping, I think, is like when I have something that I'm interested in, which a lot of neurodivergent people do. They have special interest, and I want to tell you all about it.
Yeah.
I want to sit you down and tell you every single thing about my super special interest.
Exactly. That is info dumping. So info dumping, especially special interests, tend to be associated with autistic folks. But in general, it's just somebody's special interest or a topic that they're learning about and really excited about. And info dumping is just sharing everything that they can think of that they want to share with you about this topic.
And that's a way that you show love to the people you're info dumping to, right?
Yes. So it seems like it's kind of a two-way street, right? That one is a lot of autistic folks have to mask and aren't allowed to really engage in talking about their special interests. They learn, maybe implicitly growing up that this isn't something that's okay for me to just talk about.
That I don't need to know about every camera angle in the entirety of the 40-year-long Doctor Who series.
Right.
Yeah,
they learn exactly like that people have that sort of response to them about it, that it's something that matters to them, it's something that's valuable to them, but that in general, people don't want to know about every camera angle.
And they learn to get shut down, and then they bury that, and they never get to share their true passions with people and really be themselves. And that's what it is, right? An opportunity to be yourself.
So when you're receiving info dumping, in one way, it means like, I found a safe space. I found somebody who really cares about me and my interests, regardless of how niche that is or how specific that is to me. And I trust you and I can unmask around you and I'm going to get to share this thing. And it's my favorite thing, and talking about it brings me so much joy. And I just know it's going to bring you so much joy too.
So let me ask you a few questions really fast, okay? Sure. You are autistic?
Yes.
Okay, and you have special interests as an autistic person?
Yeah.
What's one of your biggest special interests?
So I feel like in general, my relationship with special interests has been complicated because I was definitely not explicitly, but implicitly taught that it wasn't okay for me to just be really interested in things. So my special interests became being very interested in things that other people are interested in. And if I have a friend who's into something, I also want to learn everything about that thing so that we can talk about it and then I can be on the same page with you and I will become an expert in it. What were you going to say?
So what have you been learning about over the last few years? What's been one of your focuses? I'm trying to lead you to a specific conclusion here. Okay, this is like a series of questions.
Okay. I love you and I love this, but you know that I am not good at answering specific questions in the way that you're
obsessed with mental health stuff.
That was going to be my next thing, is that my special interest has kind of become being interested in people.
So the conclusion that our audience can draw is that this entire podcast is you info dumping.
You guys, I love you so much. This is me info dumping my special interest, which is counseling. Yeah, and mental health related topics. So I have spent my whole life studying people and being really interested in psychology, and then especially when I was in college and taking those classes. And since being in grad school and graduating, I want to learn everything that there is to know. And somebody that I really admire in the field has talked about, you never know what's going to come into your office. It's important to know some about everything.
Yeah.
And I took that literally as an autistic person. And so I want to know about everything out there that people might encounter and understand how those things are related. And anytime a client comes to me, not only with a mental health thing, but with their own special interest or their thing that they love, I'm learning a lot about that. And I love that. It's not your job to educate your counselor on things. So it's my responsibility to look those things up and to understand about it so that you can share in a way that's, free and easy.
Let's move on. What's that second one?
Let's do it. So the next one is parallel play.
Parallel play. Tell me about parallel play.
So parallel play is something that we mostly know about in neurodivergent kiddos, but it's something that neurodivergent adults engage in too. So parallel play is something that we have really tried to weed out of neurodivergent kids for the longest time. Parallel play is not engaging in quote unquote normal play. It's when two kids will sit next to each other and play at their own thing. Or your kiddo will come sit next to you and play at their own thing, and you're not playing with them.
Right.
They're not playing, pretend or... Sorry, Alice hit the microphone. They're not playing pretend or playing the way that we expect kids to, but they're sitting there very much engaged in their own thing, but in the same space as you.
Right.
And it's something that adults do too, where we can have parallel play by, you sitting and playing video games and me sitting and reading a book in the same room with you. Or
that's what I want people to know, is that you don't have to be doing the same thing as your partner in order to have like a quality time or connection with your partner. And I think people know that kind of implicitly, but you can just sit on the couch and be doing different things and be together. That can count as time together.
Oh, some of my favorite moments with you have been both of us sitting and reading in the same room and occasionally reading out part of what we're reading or sharing a thought that we just had.
I think that's the important thing, because I'm not saying, hey, ladies who are upset that their buddy gets on Discord and plays video games all night with their friends and never talks to her, but like, I'm in the same room, babe. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like, we're both doing the things that we're interested in, but it is a shared experience. Like we are together.
Yes.
But I'm reading my book, you're reading your book,
Yeah, that certainly there's a time and place for that. And if you two are never spending time together, for most people, that's going to start to feel really uncomfortable. You're not going to feel connected.
But not for a lot of people who are neurodivergent. We love that shit. We love to be with each other, but doing separate things.
Right. That like I can be engaged in maybe my special interest, or I can be engaged in something that's allowing my social battery to not be quickly depleted, while sitting in the same space as you and still feeling like comfort from your presence. And then that's a really beautiful thing and a totally valid way to spend some time together.
All right. Next one.
Next one is support swapping.
Support swapping.
Yep.
I hate the way that sounds. Support swapping.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you hate the word swapping?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It feels, I don't know, it feels dirty to me. I don't know why, but support swapping, that's like sometimes you need me to support you and sometimes I need you to support me, and we we fall into those roles pretty much effortlessly. Is that what we're saying?
Basically, so this is something that should be a part of all relationships, is that we're, figuring out what our strengths are and getting to lean into our strengths. So support swapping can kind of mean two things. One is when I take my medication, I'm reminding you to take your medication. Or for instance, as an autistic person, I'm very detail oriented and it's easy for me to remember details. I have a hard time getting them out of my brain. And as an ADHDer, sometimes you have a hard time focusing on the details of the day.
How dare you?
Super easy.
How dare you insult me like that?
I'm so sorry. You're better at most everything else.
No.
But yeah, so when those details pop up in my brain, I can help remind you. And you can take the vast, amazing amount of energy that you have and help support me when my energy stores tend to be pretty minimal.
I think that, I've been thinking about this. I think this is particularly applicable to people who are neurodivergent because our strengths and weaknesses are so easily apparent, but because of the ways that our brains are different from one another.
Right, or just wired differently.
But I think for anybody, this is true in a relationship, is you got to find what works for you, what you're good at. And then you've got to find ways that you can take that and support your person, right?
Yes.
And then figure out what you're bad at and literally articulate the needs that you have to your partner and see how you guys can fill the gaps, because you're a team. Absolutely.
We have sometimes been so surprised, I think, and relieved to be able to communicate, this just really takes it out of me. And the other person's like, I don't mind that at all. Yeah. Like, for instance, when we're folding laundry, which is already a task that you don't like very much.
No.
You hate hanging up clothes. I don't really know why that is.
I don't either.
But you have just said that particular thing is like the roadblock to you.
There is no more sanctity in our relationship, is there? You just put the hanging clothes thing out there for the world to hear.
I don't mind at all. In fact, that's a very easy part for me.
Yeah, no, you. I'll lay them out, but the hanger, like getting the hangers out of the closet and hanging, I feel ridiculous right now. But yeah, you're right. I don't like that shit.
I appreciate you being a good sport. I do really think that it's relatable, that there are certain tasks or certain parts of tasks that are just monumentally difficult sometimes for us. And I think that even in a neurotypical relationship, there are going to be things that just aren't your skill set. And that it's nice when the two of you can communicate and decide, hey, that's actually a strength of mine.
Yeah.
Or a little bit less taxing for me. Let's swap. Let's trade something.
Perfect. Next, moving on.
crush my soul back into my body.
Crush my soul back into my body, or so help me.
Yeah, so this is about...
It's the silliest sounding one, for sure.
It's the silliest sounding one.
Yeah.
This is really about how a lot of specifically autistic people, or just people with sensory differences, so people with people who are ADHD, sometimes anxious people, like deep pressure as a really soothing way to calm down your nervous system, essentially. And so this might look like receiving a really big, hard hug, maybe literally having your partner lay on top of you.
Right.
Or maybe it's not physical touch at all and it's a weighted blanket.
One time you were on the couch and I came and sat on you and you died legally for like 3 minutes, I think.
I died and went to heaven. Yeah, I love that shit. Oh my gosh. It's so, well, it does two things. One, it can allow you to feel your body if you're a person who tends to vacate your body. So a lot of autistic people talk about living in their heads and that it's hard to get in touch with our body. That's why we do lots of, movements and stuff to kind of feel it and to work through sensations. And having pressure on a lot of my body can feel, I like exit my head, and it's so soothing. And the other nice thing about that is that deep pressure can help to regulate your nervous system. So if you have a nervous system that's on fire for whatever reason, a lot of times having that deep pressure can really help.
And weighted blankets aren't too expensive these days. They're pretty affordable, I would say, for what they are.
Pretty accessible ways, I think, to get in
I would say that blanket. If you haven't tried one, you should. They're nice. I like them.
From your therapist, if you haven't tried a weighted blanket and you're anxious or you're autistic or you think you might be, try that shit.
And if you can't afford a weighted blanket, but you have a shovel, you can always go dig a hole out in your backyard and then cover yourself with soil like you're at the beach. Effectively the same thing.
Honestly, one of the reasons I like having cats in the house, because Trouble will come sit on me and he is essentially a weighted blanket.
What's that last? We're on the last one now?
Yeah, the last one.
Hit me with the last one.
Okay, so I found this cool rock button leaf.
Right.
And I thought it was cool and I wanted you to have it.
Okay.
This is also called penguin pebbling.
That sounds like a bowel movement.
Why does everything go to the worst place?
The worst place? You're out here talking about penguin pebbles. What do you think that sounds like?
Okay, so something that penguins do is give their significant others a pebble. And basically, this is like a very neurodivergent, or just, I think, like sweet and pure form of gift giving, which is literally, hey, I saw this rock or this leaf and it brought me some joy and I wanted to share that with you.
I know of a guy who proposed to his fiance or his girlfriend with a pebble.
With a real pebble?
Because she loved penguins. And he was like, babe, I know how much you love penguins, so, instead of like a diamond ring that's expensive, I've gotten you an actual
I found
rock.
this outdoors.
I found you a rock. That might have been the ultimate, hey, here's this rock stick leaf that I found, and I thought you might like it.
Penguin pebbling.
Would you please marry me?
So
that's a ballsy move.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For a proposal. But
it is. Did it work?
I don't know. I just heard that the proposal happened. I'd assume no.
Okay.
But I don't know.
But yeah.
We could say that it did. It landed. She got it. She loved it.
I feel like he probably wouldn't have been talking about it if it didn't work, right? He's not going to be like, I had this great idea and it turns out she hated it.
I keep asking these girls to marry me, but the pebble thing is not working.
Oh my gosh.
So condense this down for me. When we say leaf, pebble, stick, are we literally talking about like items of debris from the backyard that a partner might bring in and be like, hey, this stick reminded me of you?
Okay. So in one regard, yes, we are.
Okay.
That a lot of times, one, autistic people are specifically kind of known for having this like childlike joy and wonder about the world, and like being very detail oriented and finding maybe mundane things and feeling a connection to those things, or like loving those things. Another thing could be because it's a special interest. Another thing could be because oh God, I just got way off.
I think what
track
we're
there.
saying is that this may not be of inherent monetary value, but it's of importance to me.
Yeah.
And it's more about sharing a moment with somebody than it is about like the thing itself, right?
Yes. And yeah.
But we can tie a memory to an object, you know, and then you can have this little like piece of nothing. It's not important.
Yeah.
What it is.
And
What's important is the moment that we shared.
I saw something cute that made me happy. And when something makes me happy, I think of you because you make me happy. Here's this stick. The other thing.
You sound like my dog. I found this stick outside. I thought of you. I was sure you would want it. Now that you have it, could you throw that? Could you throw that stick?
I do not want you to throw the stick. The other thing that penguin pebbling can entail are things like sharing memes or sending, you know, a TikTok video you saw. It's just, I saw this thing and thought of you.
I love it. Any other thoughts on the 5 love languages for neurodivergent people?
I think that like most things that we talk about with neurodivergent folks, that these are going to resonate more heavily with that community. But in general, understanding just different ways of connecting that maybe aren't like the ideas that we've been sold.
Literally sold.
Literally sold. Literally spend
like
your money.
somebody's capitalizing on it and making a profit off of these concepts, right?
Literally, the secret to your relationship working is paying me money.
Yeah.
To have this thing.
Yeah. You want to have a good Valentine's Day? Better be ready to spend money.
Right.
Because that's the only way you can show affection.
Yeah.
Right? Is by spending money.
Exactly.
No, that's bullshit. You know?
So I think that like with most neurodivergent things, I think a lot of neurodivergent people read this list and it really resonated with them. But in general, I think everybody benefits from learning about alternative ways to view their life and to view their relationships.
At its core, it's just how to be a good human.
Yeah.
To other humans, right? And
yeah.
And I think that if you're neurotypical and listening to this hopefully it'll help broaden your understanding of how people can interact with one another.
It's about learning to appreciate what's unique about your partner and the things that make you similar, the things that make you different, and learning to navigate those things together. Like that's the whole deal.
Well, I think that about sums up our conversation for today, Ashlyn.
Cool.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for your time.
And we'll see you next time on I Married Your Therapist. Don't ever come in here with like a stick for me. I don't need it.
Okay, that feels kind of rude after we were just like, find what's unique about your partner. I'm absolutely bringing you a stick.
I don't need sticks. I don't need any sticks. I don't need any rocks. I'm good. You know? If you find a $20 bill out in the backyard, I'll take that.